Welcome to Better Life Conversations. Today we get to talk about something that's pretty near and dear to my heart because my wife is a teacher and I have kids, and so education has been part of my life for a long time. And I'm not the only one. I suspect a lot of you have either had education in your past or are in education in some form or another. So today we are having a conversation with teachers from two different schools, which is kind of unusual. And so I just want to welcome John and Tanya McCombs to the program.
Hello.
Glad to be here.
It's a pleasure to be here. It is as we're recording this, it is an evening, and that means you have had a long day already. And so I just want to really thank you. I know how precious your time is, and I'm glad that you find this to be something valuable for you.
Yeah, it's fun.
Let's just go into it. I want to first introduce where you're from. You guys are living in Medford right now, and you have not been here very long. When did you arrive in the metropolis of Medford?
It was June.
Okay.
June.
We closed up the school we were in. We moved like 2 weeks later, packed the house. I've never packed that fast before.
Yeah.
We've never packed
We
that
packed
fast
really
before.
fast.
Yeah, a lot of change in a short time. And John, you're teaching over at Rogue Valley Adventist Academy. What grade
Correct.
are you teaching over there?
I'm teaching grades 5 and 6.
Okay.
And technology for the 10th graders.
All right. It already is sounding very busy. And Tanya, you are actually teaching here in Grants Pass. What are you doing and where are you doing it?
I have first, second, and third grade,
Okay.
and I also get to be the principal. That's icing on top of the cake
Yes.
of teaching every day, and at Grants Pass Seventh Adventist School. And yeah, I started early this summer. Right away in June I started. That's when my contract starts, and July. Okay. And it felt like I started in June. And started with recruiting and marketing, and we started with a day at the fair, a couple days at the
Wow.
fair. We were out at the fair giving away toys and prizes, and the kids were spinning the wheel. It was fun.
Yeah, so you guys have jumped right into it very quickly. And we'll come back to that because I don't think a lot of people understand just how busy life is when you're a teacher, when you're in education. But what I'd like to know, and I'll start with you, John, is this passion for a specific type of ministry had to start somewhere. So tell us a little bit about what brought you into education.
Well, I grew up as a pastor's kid.
Okay.
So I've been in a ministry family since I was born, and I'm very comfortable with being in that public eye, because being in ministry is being in the public eye, I think. And what really brought me into education was music. That's what brought me to education. I don't think I had no intention of being a classroom teacher. That's what I am now.
Right.
And I get to use my music, but I don't teach it as a subject area. So, but that's how I got started in education.
Right. And was there something specific? Was it just being part of a ministry family? Or because when I think of education, I think service. I think of helping other people maybe discover who they are. Was there something specific about education that really drew you?
The part that I really was looking forward to when I was looking at as I was looking at being a music teacher was getting to watch young minds grow. That was the big one. At that point, I don't think, because I was in a state university and I wasn't sure that I'd be working at a private school or a public school. My interest started when I was 12. I was playing guitars. I played classical guitar, and then I started building guitars, and I remember I had this aspiration to only build guitars for Christian artists. And I haven't built one for one Christian artist yet, actually.
Well, maybe you have.
Maybe I just don't know. I don't know where they're at anymore. Anyways, but yeah, that was where it started. And then when I started to take classes at a state university, at Eastern Washington University, I decided that I didn't have any aspirations either way on that, except that I knew I didn't want to be working on Sabbaths.
Yeah.
And I knew that working in a high school and a band, I knew that was, I could see down the road that was going to be an issue. And I remember our first job. I remember the first job we got, and it was in Brewster, Washington, and it was in the public school there, and it was a fun first position. But I would go and I would sing. They'd have me sing the national anthem. I was resurrecting the music program, and I would go see the national anthem. And pretty soon it was like sundown. I was like, okay, I can't do that anymore.
Right.
But after football games, and then we were only there 1 year. Bought a house. We were there 1 year, and we went out to North Dakota because that's what I did really want to work in our schools, but I just didn't know.
Right.
And then we moved to North Dakota. Sight unseen. Remember that?
Yep.
Sight unseen.
Didn't even look at the house. They said,
We
do you want to
hadn't-
see it? And we're like, no, it's okay.
It's a house. We're working in one of our schools.
Yeah.
I want to work in high school. Let's do it.
Wow.
And we drove up, and I remember we drove up in the U-Haul, and we parked in front, and I says, well, I guess this is where
This
I'm
is
working.
our house.
And it was this huge building. If
Beautiful
anybody's seen that
campus.
campus, I mean, it's
Yeah.
2 stories of glass that look out over the valley
It's gorgeous.
towards the Missouri River, and it's just grassland. You're not looking over neighborhoods or anything,
And a pond.
and a big pond.
Yeah.
And you're 15 minutes from Bismarck, North Dakota, and
You can skate on the pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to really believe in what you're doing to whatever, to just kind of step into it and not really know what's coming. Is your story similar, Tanya? Is that what brought you into education and into ministry?
So education started when I was in grade school.
Okay.
I had 2 amazing teachers, and I just thought, I want to be a teacher someday. I really did. And so I think that was 7th, 8th grade. And I thought, I'm going to do that. And for a while I was deterred, and I thought of some other things that I could do. But I went ahead and finished my education and started teaching in Spokane.
Okay.
And I think at that time, shortly in, we met Pastor Kevin Wilfley, and he really hooked us into the friendship evangelism thing.
Yep.
And
What is friendship evangelism? Was it a specific program or?
I don't think it's a program. I think it's just a way, like you have an event and then you just invite your friends. So
Okay.
whatever you're doing, you invite your friends to do it with you.
Well, man, I remember the first service we went to, and he sang.
And he sang.
He just sang right in the middle of the service, and I was just like, oh, this is
He hooked
amazing.
us.
That was where I got hooked. I didn't even have my degree at that point. I didn't
That's
have a
not
degree.
even friendship evangelism.
No, but it was on the whole service that day was on evangelism. I remember it was a long service, and then I actually was working with him. And what I was getting to is, you know how some churches used to have an evangelism fund, and they would pay for, bucks for some big evangelist to come in. We would use the money, and we would rent the roller skating rink, choose our own music, invite everybody in, and we would roller skate. And we would have the whole rink was Linwood Seventh-day Adventist Church. And that was everybody who was there. So if they were there, they were somehow connected with a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church there. So, and it had to be, we invite friends that were non-Adventists that were our friends or neighbors. That was really what he encouraged over and over, because the big thing is like, let's hang out with people so that they can see that we're not that weird.
Right.
Or we'd go to camp, like
Yep,
Camp
that was the other
Maivaden,
one.
and we'd invite our friends, and they could come for free. And so
As long as they were non-Adventists,
Yeah.
especially.
Was
as
that hard?
non-members.
Because
No.
it wasn't. I love that, because so often we just we invite the same people over and over again,
Yes.
and we become this club where there's the inside group and the outside group. But this was specifically designed to welcome more and more people in.
Yes.
I love that.
we loved it.
And by the time we left that church, which was a large church, it was full.
It was packed.
It was packed. Balcony too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
It was
fun.
really neat. Yeah.
That's really
And when we left, it was really sad. He's like, "Go, guys, don't leave, don't leave."
I was
Yeah.
telling you about that.
Yeah, in fact, so tell me that story.
So I was having this conversation with Pastor Kevin Wilfley, and I was on the phone with him, and I was talking to him about how we were going to move and how he had shared with us to go where God wants you to go and be what God wants you to be. And he said, "But not you guys." And I don't know if he even remembers saying that, but I
Right.
remember those words that he said. And we said, well, we feel like God's calling us, and we had baby on the way, and we needed to have some money that wasn't necessarily myself. And John got a job, and then we moved.
Yeah,
So
public
that's when
school
you went from Spokane
to
then
Brewster,
to
Washington.
to
Brewster.
Brewster. Okay.
Yeah, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
And the Advent Church there, they really enjoyed our involvement there, and we did too.
And our baby.
And, oh my goodness, the ladies would fight over the baby almost.
Right.
It was really sweet.
Right. So obviously you have children. Where are your children right now?
So our son that we're talking about, Dante, is at Milo Adventist Academy,
Okay.
and that's part of what brought us here. We wanted to be closer to him. And our daughter is eighth grader at Rogue Valley Adventist Academy,
Okay.
and plans to go to Milo also. So we just wanted to be close to our kids.
Right.
Mama heart, my babies are growing up. I want to get closer.
That's right.
And so here we are, and Dante's a junior. So another year, and he's off into the wild unknown.
Right. Exciting times. A little hard for us as parents.
Yeah.
But that's part of the education system that we're talking about is how are we raising up our children, and how are we teaching them to be part of community, and what does that look like? And I have to say, it's a privilege. It's scary, but it's a privilege watching those wings sprout, and there can be some bent parts and some challenges along the way, but
Do you ever have to reattach the wings?
yeah, not yet. So let's flash forward a little bit. So now, John, you're teaching over there at Rogue Valley Adventist School, and is this your first time teaching 5th and 6th grade?
This is the first time that I've only taught 2 grades.
Okay.
I've always had more than 2 grades to teach. My first year teaching in a multi-grade classroom was 5 grades. That was nuts.
Uh-huh.
But this has been 2, so it's a lot easier in some ways, and it's still very busy because I'm jumping class to class and
Right.
and sharing my class with other classrooms, and but it's in some ways it's much nicer to prepare for fewer subjects.
So I want to drill into that a little bit. As you know, my wife is a teacher as well, and sometimes I think that we as a community don't really understand what it's like to be in a school, what it's like to be in education. So as you've been doing this and have this passion for being in an educational ministry, how does that intersect with community? What are some of the things that really allow you as a teacher be more successful as far as how community is interacting with you?
Great question. The thing about teachers that you hear is like, oh well, don't you get summers off and like Christmas and Thanksgiving and spring break, and thank God we do, because we would burn out otherwise.
Yeah.
I think because I was my students have been asking me this too, and there are people that volunteer. I'm jumping all over the place, but my kids have been asking me randomly this just in the last 2 weeks. Do you like being a teacher? And I'm thinking, well, let's see. A year ago, I was pretty tired. Maybe not, but no, I'm not going to give them that answer. But no, it's like, yeah. And they're like, is it worth it being a teacher? And I says, yeah, there's some great rewards being a teacher. It says, well, do you like being off summers? And I said, well, yeah, summers are kind of boring, actually. There's a lot to do, but it kind of gets boring. It's like all that interaction with the kids and stuff.
Right.
You miss out on that.
I miss them too.
But they were asking me, it's a lot of work because Sunday is prep day and catch-up day. That's the day you finish grading the papers you didn't do the week before, if you have enough energy for that, and then prepare for your classes the next week, because you don't just walk in and say, we're learning how to do the anatomy of a frog today. You just don't do that. Or we're learning how to graph equations. We're not doing that today. Just off the cuff,
Right.
usually. We're going to have to, I have to plan for that. Then, once I've done, because we talked about this before, once I've done a class, I have 20 students, and once I've done a class and every student turns in one math paper, that means I have 20 papers to grade. And every one of my students, I make them learn cursive, which is old school, but I think there's reasons for doing it. It's so important. It's brain development important. Anyways, I get 20 pieces of cursive to grade. That's 40 pieces of paper to grade. And then I do it again the next day, and that starts compounding rather quickly. So, you know, I think the first teacher I taught with in Brewster, she says, well, day's over at 3:15. She says, oh, it's time for my second job.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go grade.
Papers.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, so things we could use help with, you know, it's like, obviously the Maker's Place at Rogue Valley Adventist Academy is top notch. I'm sure there's something nicer somewhere, but I've
beautiful.
never seen one with that many cool toys in it, basically. It's
Yeah.
toys to me. Those are pieces of fine equipment. They are, I would say well, the 3D printers those are professional level, and they're Bamboo Labs, and the lasers, a person could run a business with one of those. And it's just fabulous. And there was a large bit of money that went into that.
Right.
And that was a huge thank you. I haven't met the person, but that money isn't free, and we didn't make it from tuition. The school did not make it from tuition. That was a donation, and then there would be no way that would be possible without that kind of commitment towards education that I've seen in Oregon Conference more than once, which is really neat.
Yeah.
But then we have mothers and grandmothers that come in, and they sit in the office so our secretary can have a break. I have one lady, she's amazing at grading my math. I love that. She comes in and boom, done. It's like, oh, I don't have to do that. I just have to enter it now. You know, so those are just huge gifts. Or I haven't had anybody come in and tutor in my room, but Tanya's like the queen at like getting people to come volunteer. I'm not. I'm really bad at asking for help, actually.
Well, and this is a great opportunity because, again, I'm not sure there's always awareness of that. So I would just I'd encourage you, the viewer, that if you feel like you have something to offer, even if you feel like you don't have anything to offer, just go visit a school and get a feel for what they need. Just ask and be willing to serve. You know, what can I do to help? I know the teachers, you guys, and the students just love that. Tanya, John mentioned the benefits of being in education and you guys actually missing it during the breaks. What are some of the benefits you see of being involved in education?
Oh boy. Okay. So how long's your show again? Okay. So I'm going to be just plain old honest on you.
I like that.
I have time with my kids in summer. And when they were young, that was really important that I had more mom time at home with them, even though I was finishing a degree during part of those years. I finished my master's in literacy in 2020. And so I was working on that. But having that mom time at home, I guess the hard one for me in class is getting to tell kids about Jesus every day and stopping and saying, hey, let's pray about that. And today we lost something, and all the kids, I'm like, okay, look around, here's what it looks like, it's a heart, and we're all looking for this. And then when we found it, I said, stop, let's pray, let's thank Jesus. And so we thank God for helping us find that thing. But then two of the other girls said, we already prayed. They'd already prayed about it, and I didn't tell them to do it. And so like every day we can talk about Jesus and we can bring Jesus into it. And I love that it's not taboo. You know, it can be like part of everything, and every subject, every conversation can be about God. So that, and for 6 years I got to teach my own kids.
Yeah.
So that was a huge gift. I'm not sure if that would be their perspective, but it was mine.
Right, for sure. And that is so important, the fact, you know, that's what we talk about here on Better Life all the time is how God is involved in everything we do and the opportunity we have both to engage with Him and to model that for other people. And one of the ways we model that is using it in our own lives. And so I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about that balance, trying to find that balance between work and home. You know, it's something we all struggle with, but I think, again, my wife Tanya is a teacher, and the day does not end when the school day ends.
Yeah.
And it can really be a challenge. How do you face those challenges, Tanya? How do you maintain or try to maintain that balance? And you have so much energy going out into the classroom. What brings that energy back in?
Well, first of all, sleep. And that's a given. I like to go for walks, and if my dog was here, he would second that.
Yes.
And I start my day every day listening to my Sabbath School Quarterly, actually. And my favorite day is Friday because the mission story is on Friday. I always love the mission story. And so that, and call and talk to friends, listen to music. And for me, as an extrovert, walking into the grocery store and just talking to a random person I've never met is a recharge. I know that's weird,
that
but
would
it's
be very,
true.
very draining to me. So I'm glad that there are the other types of personalities as well.
I just love people.
Yeah, yeah. John, what about you? Are you, when you're struggling, I'm guessing that it can be a challenge. What are some of the tools you use to make sure you're keeping everything in the proper perspective so that you can continue to be enriching the lives of those around you?
So unlike my wife, I actually need quiet time. And my quiet time is, I started working out 2 years ago now because my son grabbed my arm and said, "Hey, Dad, you're starting to feel old."
Did he?
He did. I thought, oh, crud.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, this is not okay. I've got to start working out. So I didn't realize, you know, I read and heard it was like, oh, it'll make you feel better and give you more energy. And I was like, whoa. I was like slogging up the stairs and then started working out. And I could do 2 at a time. Boom, boom, boom. And I was like, okay, that's true. It gives you more energy. And I oftentimes feel better when I do that because I'll put in noise canceling headphones because there are other people at the gym. And I don't know, I don't really get a charge out of visiting with them too much. Sometimes it's fun, but usually it's like, you know, I just like get in my own space and I'll listen to either Christian music or, because I don't like the music they play anyways, or I was listening to the Bible the other day and just whatever I feel like I'm up to listening to and focus on that, and I get out and I feel pretty good when I'm done. Actually, better than I thought I would, you know.
Good tips, because those are the things when I get stressed, and it's the things that actually I need that are the first for me to let go. So I appreciate those reminders. I think those are important tools regardless of what stage in life we're in or what our career path is. Another thing I wanted to visit with you guys about, because I've never talked with people where you're both teachers but at different locations. Has that presented any challenges or opportunities, John?
It's sad. This is the first time we've not worked at the same place, except for the first 2 jobs, but like in the last 10 years, this is the first time in 10 years that we haven't been in the same school, same schedule, same vacation, same commute, same everything.
Yeah.
And it's sad in some ways, and but it's okay. I think the thing that helps is we do have the same vacations, mostly.
Right.
That's a big deal.
And we're going skiing together. Our schools are.
Oh,
That's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we get to coordinate a little bit with those things, like with events like that with the 2 schools, which is nice, I think.
And sometimes on my planning days, my last planning day, I went to RVAA and worked there for a while and got to have lunch with
And the
Ginger
last time
and
we had a
John.
PLC, we went to the same one. And
What is a PLC?
Professional Learning Community. Yes, thank you for asking.
So you guys are in school too.
Yeah.
We do have
On
to
some
keep,
days.
have to keep that up too. Yeah.
Right.
So,
And keep going.
Yeah. We have another one, but this next one we don't get to be together. But so the challenges are, I think, now we have to connect when Tanya is commuting because she's got the commute from
Grants Pass.
to home. And fortunately, it's a half hour, 34 minutes, half hour.
Yeah.
That's pretty fast.
That could be worse.
Sometimes when I'm driving home, I just call and I hang out on the phone with them, and they
Right.
tell me about their day, and
Yeah.
they keep me awake if I'm tired.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, where I'm going with that also is I'm all about community. I love community, and I like anything that brings us together. So when I think of our churches that are in different areas, anything that brings our churches together is a good thing.
Yeah.
And to see an opportunity here, and I look at it as an opportunity. I know it's a strain on you guys, but our schools being able to work together,
Together.
and partner, I think is a really healthy thing. Is that something that the schools are looking at more and more?
I think so. Yes, that's what I'm hearing from, our school.
We did our CPR training together. That was Brad Bennett. Pulled us in together on that and invited several schools together on that. And we should definitely look at doing more things together. I would love that.
I can't wait to talk to you guys again, because there's so many neat things happening in our schools, and it's important that we open that window, we open that door so our community can look in and see the neat things that are happening in one of our most important mission opportunities, our education system.
Yeah.
So glad you guys were able to join me. I know that you are very busy, so I'm grateful for that time. And folks, I just want to encourage you to, when you have the next time you have the opportunity, if you're driving by one of our schools, or give them a call. We'll put the contact information for both the Grants Pass Adventist School and the Rogue Valley Adventist Academy. We'll put that information up on the screen. Reach out to those schools. Reach out to the school in your own community and see how you can be involved and just be part of this system that is just bringing kids together in community together, and also introducing them to Jesus. So John, Tanya, I just want to thank you for joining us, and God bless you as you continue the ministry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely, we'll
was
do
fun.
it again.
Okay.
All right, and again, thank you and have a blessed day. We'll see you on the next episode of Better Life Conversations.